Hey, what's up, everybody? BDL44 coming at you with another video. All right, so this is the preview video or the beforehand video of the Phoenix Suns going up against the Dallas Mavericks, Game 4 in Dallas. In Game 3, we saw Dallas get their first victory in the series. They put themselves in a position to play much better defense by moving their best defenders into heavy minutes in Reggie Bullock and Dorian Finney-Smith, and they were able to deliver. And I think that's a recipe for success for their team. It starts with the defensive end. They have had success defensively throughout the season, was considered one of the better Western Conference defensive teams. And that's only been here and there in these playoffs. Now, obviously, against the Phoenix Suns, they're a very lethal offensive team as well as defensive team. So it's really there is no room for much error. No, very slim margin for error is what I'm saying to you. So at this point in time, you just appreciate, if you're a Dallas Mavericks fan, the effort that they showed in not only putting themselves in a position to play some defense, but also hitting their shots and just being fresh on that end as well. So now, what you don't like if you're Dallas is the fact that Spencer Dinwiddie hasn't found his way. He's a very important piece to what it is that they do, and he's just not a part of these playoffs right now. So he's going to have to find his way, and it's going to be on Jason Kidd to try to put him in positions to do that by putting him in lineups that don't involve him playing with Luca and playing with other ball handlers. He just needs a lineup to himself where he can attack the defense the way that he does. And if you can get 18 points out of him, his confidence will turn him into a piece that you can rely upon. But if you don't utilize him in a way that allows him to be featured, he's not really helping them in any other way. So it's really on Jason Kidd ultimately. You gotta put him in positions to be good, because at the end of the day, we know he's a ball handler, and we know Luca Doncic holds the ball for most of the situation. But Luca has to sit down at some point, and that's when Spencer Dinwiddie needs to be able to come in and then perform. So he's gonna have to do that if those opportunities come his way. But is that a priority for Jason Kidd at this point in this series? I don't know. That's the thing. It's like he has a lot of things he has to figure out. That just happens to be one of them. At the end of the day, he's probably looking at Spencer Dinwiddie saying, get yourself going. But it's kind of hard to do that, in this offense. So I don't know. I just don't think that's working out thus far, and it's going to have to if they're gonna find a way to win the series. As far as Phoenix is concerned, you love what you're seeing from them from behind the arc. They had a tough start to these playoffs shooting the ball, and they've since figured that part of their game out. So if you want to take a plus away from their game in the last one, 3-point shooting, they pulled some off. What they didn't do, however, is sustain consistent scoring. They had scoring droughts, particularly in the third quarter, and had some guys that they're used to doing a lot not do a whole lot for them. So that needs to change in this game if they're going to win this road game and take a strong 3-1 series lead. It's going to start with them being efficient, in my opinion. Their defense is always going to be there. Cam Johnson, Cam Payne, Mikal Bridges, and their bigs. They're going to play great defense. Devin Booker. But what you need not do is find yourself in a situation where you get frustrated with shots not falling, or get frustrated and start turning the ball over. I think the Phoenix Suns did a great job of not turning the ball over as a team, but unfortunately, Chris Paul had 7 of them in the first 2 quarters. So it was a very strange game. You don't expect that to happen again, and most importantly, you hope that that wasn't what was required for the Dallas Mavericks to win the game, because if that's what they are banking on, they're not going to win another game in this series, unfortunately. It was Chris Paul's birthday, and if you ask me, he probably had broken his routine some way, whether it be celebrating or whatever, and I'm sure it threw him off some. But at the end of the day, the thing that was pointed out in the article that I just read, which is really important, is that these two teams have had the least amount of time in between games throughout this series, this round rather. Everybody else is getting 2 and 3 days off. No, they're basically playing every other day. And so, with that being said, I think both teams need to be mindful of that, particularly the Phoenix Suns, who have older players like Chris Paul. They're going to have to manage him in this series so that he's not taking on too much punishment and going up against fresher teams who don't have the schedule that they're running into. So I don't know if it'll balance out in the next round for another team, possibly. Who knows how that's going to be? But it just seems like the Phoenix Suns and the Dallas Mavericks they're playing a lot more ball right now than everyone else. So they have some things to consider in that regard. DeAndre Ayton, he's been steady, man, continuing to eat. There is no answer for him. I believe the Phoenix Suns should continue to try to feature him and force the Dallas Mavericks to prove that they can stop him. I don't think they can. Looking at who they have down there trying to guard him, I don't think there should be any reason to believe that they're going to have any success down there if the Phoenix Suns just run things through him, basically. Now, granted, they have a lot of different ways they can attack you that work. Phoenix has plenty. But if you look at a game like Game 3, where they had scoring droughts, and you're looking and see the result of them losing, you just understand that they have an unguardable force on the floor. So if they lost this game, chances are they didn't utilize him enough. Simple as that. So that's one thing that I definitely pay attention to. Devin Booker's been steady. Devin Booker is in a space where he's in his prime. I think you're seeing some of the best form of him at this point. It's really not a whole lot for him to do other than just stay healthy. He's had knick-knack injuries and things of that nature. His performance is where it needs to be. He's playing great both sides of the floor. It's just about managing him and making sure that he remains 100% for the rest of these playoffs. So that's going to be the challenge. I think Monty Williams, and I've mentioned this, I don't think he's having his best series as through 3 games. I don't think that. I think there are ways he can manage the team a little bit better to guard against this particular thing. And I hope that he does for his team's sake. This series should not extend past 5 games. I'm not going to lie to you guys. I picked Phoenix to win this series in 5. And I'm wondering if my pick still stands because I saw some things in that game in Dallas, Game 3, that made me wonder if this thing is going to keep going. What keeps playing back in my mind is Draymond Green's opinion about this series. He really thinks Dallas is going to win it. And I'm just looking at what, trying to figure out what it is that he sees. And the one thing that I think he's looking at is the fact that the Dallas Mavericks can truly stretch the floor in a way that a lot of teams can't with those stretch fours that they have. The Dorian Finney-Smiths and Maxi Kleber and those guys, they play defense, so they're going to be on the floor. And then they're the same players who are going to be doing a lot of the scoring outside of Luca Doncic. They're stretching the floor. As long as they're shooting hot, if you can get the heat out of Bullock and Kleber every night, and then you have those defenders doing what they're supposed to do, all you really need is for Spencer Dinwiddie to find himself. And if he turns back into Spencer Dinwiddie, the one that we remember from Brooklyn, you're looking at a situation where the Phoenix Suns have to play really well to win games in this series. And while, of course, they're capable of doing that and you expect them to, that's a lot more than what you're expecting of them right now to win this series. So, it's really, for me, I'm looking at Spencer Dinwiddie saying, you're what's missing. You're what's missing. Your actual production, what they expect from you, what is it, like 14 and 5, whatever the assists, that's what's missing. They need him to get his stuff together. Definitely like Jay Crowder's shooting in the last game, but he runs hot and cold. One game he'll go 4 for 5, the next he'll go 1 for 6. So you have to expect that the shooting will not continue to stay hot. He don't shoot like that. Had a great game. Maybe he has another one, but he makes his money on the defensive side of the ball and essentially, just taking advantage of the referees. That's what I see from Jay Crowder most of the time, and he's good at it. But I can't look at him and say, okay, I can count on him to hit three threes in the game. No, can't pencil him in for that. Which brings me to where I'm going next. You got to get more out of that bench. Jay Crowder, not Jay Crowder, just said him. Cam Johnson, Cam Payne, the Cam guys. They've been missing in this series. Neither one of them are playing like themselves. If Phoenix is going to win this series, that needs to happen. They need those guys to come back around and get involved. And on the offensive side particularly, put some points on the board, man. Cam Payne, I don't know what kind of struggles he's going through, but I look at him as somebody who's supposed to be playing so much better than he is for the Phoenix Suns. They can't have him not giving Chris Paul the type of bench rest that in production that he needs. They can't have that. You know, you already saw what they look like in these playoffs with Devin Booker going down. You know, they're still able to maintain, but they're not the same. And it's because Campaign, particularly, hasn't been himself. So, yeah, you just want certain players. You know the stakes are high. You understand the guys are being judged with it through a different lens in the playoffs, and you just want them to step up, find the confidence that they have in the regular season, and bring it to the table when it matters now the most. You know, this is championship time, and if you belong to the Phoenix Suns, you should believe that you can win the championship this year. You know, you should have no doubt in your mind that you have the pieces. So I'm looking at guys like JaVale McGee. I'm looking at even the guys a little further down like Aaron Holiday. They should truly believe that if I give my best effort, regardless of what's going on, Chris Paul and Devin Booker and Ayton, they're gonna close it. We gonna win. And so I just want to see them play better. And I think it'll be if those guys play their best, Phoenix doesn't lose. Score be danged. Phoenix will be up at the end. So, yeah, man, that's what I have to say about that. I love the defense I saw out of Maxi Cleveland in the last game. Dorian Finney-Smith shooting the ball, continuing over 40% on the year. He needs to be featured more in that offense, in my opinion. He's a fantastic defensive player, but he hardly misses threes. You gotta let him run. And of course, last but not least, Jalen Brunson, who's been up and down, up and down, up and down, mostly down these playoffs. But he did have a good game 3. His 3 ball didn't fall, but his field goal percentage is back to where it needs to be. He was doing his normal stuff. He's trending back upward, which works in favor for the Dallas Mavericks quite a bit. If he's dropping 32, 33 points tonight, that's huge. I ain't mentioned Luca Doncic very much at all, if I have at all in this series, in this game, in this video, because Luca Doncic is great, and you know how I feel about greatness. It doesn't even really need to be considered very much. It's going to be penciled in for whatever astronomical numbers, and we're going to be ready to sing his praises at the end of the game. You can do that before, though. You know what I mean? Because that's what greatness is about. You can actually say, yo, he's primed to be fantastic, and this is the type of player he is. And you can do that all night long. But that, to me, is the least thing you need to be concerned with when considering what it is you're looking at, because they are consistency and greatness. It's at a high level to be penciled in. So it's like, why even worry about it? That's how I look at greatness, to be honest with you. So it's all about the other guys. So long as Luca doesn't run completely cold or doesn't trust his teammates, which is something that we've talked about in this series, particularly in Game 2, when it didn't look like he was giving the ball to other guys enough. So I think Luca would be wise to find a real love for seeing others get in rhythm and being the catalyst for them succeeding. In other words, fall in love with the assist category, Luca. That's going to be your best bet, because as long as you're the only guy shooting the ball, because we know you can hit 8 threes a night if you really want to, just park out there and shoot. But there are other guys on your team, of course, that we already mentioned, that are going to need you to empower them on the court. Because if they can't play with you, then it doesn't matter how great you are. You see what I'm saying? If they can't get off while you're down there, then in this era that doesn't work. The Michael Jordan, Kobe thing, that doesn't work in this era. You have to play team ball. So I would be looking to get Spencer involved. I would be looking in the offseason to learn how to play better off the ball, and spend the next several off seasons learning how to be the best version of the off the ball player I can be. Because the stars who can empower others to be better are going to be most valued in this league going forward. And he has such defensive deficiencies to where he's going to have to be extra special outside of what it is that he's already amazing at. You understand what I'm saying? It has to be more than what you can pencil it in for. He has to make up for it. So, yeah, that's just what I think. I think Luka Doncic is going to be just fine so long as he gets in better shape. He's going to have to get in better shape. He doesn't get as much flack for not being in shape as some other athletes who look like him do. And that's something I'm going to say, yo, he needs to also dedicate himself to the plant diet or whatever Chris Paul's been doing, getting himself in shape. If Luka starts doing that now in his 20s, he's going to have the best career possible. I really believe that. So, yeah, man, that's pretty much what I got to say about that. At the end of the day, if I'm going to make a prediction for this game, I will have to preface it by saying that my predictions were horrible yesterday and perfect the day before. So take that for what it's worth. I think the Dallas Mavericks at home are still up against it against the Phoenix Suns. I don't expect the Phoenix Suns to turn the ball over 7 times. I did say that the series initially was going to go in 5, so that means the Phoenix Suns are just going to win by default if my predictions hold up. And I expect that as well. If I think about it, a lot of what happened there just is not going to happen again. At the end of the day, Ayton is there. He is unguardable. If you're the Dallas Mavericks, they don't have an answer for him. And if they're going to win this game, they're going to have to find one. So I don't think they will. And as a result, I believe they're going to lose. But they've played a good series for what it is they're trying to do. There's still room for them to improve. And there are scenarios where they most definitely can win this game. But a lot of that is on Phoenix to do things wrong. And judging by the fact that they just came off a game where they were bad and lost, and of course they were celebrating Chris Paul's birthday, so that made it even worse. Probably a couple teammates feel embarrassed because they didn't get him a victory for his birthday. Yeah, they're going to take that out on you today at 12:30 Pacific time. So I'll be watching. I'm sure you will too. And I'll have a video for you after the game. Video 44. Thank y'all for watching. I'm out.